It's time for the Bookie and the Bettor Show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy White, the Bettor.
Yes, welcome back to our show. It is the Bookie and Bettor Show. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. I am joined once again by my best friends, Randy White,
Thank
Nick
you.
Schulte.
Hey.
Thanks so much for joining us. It is episode number 15, the thankful episode. We're going to talk a little bit later about what we're most thankful for in the year 2023. I know I've got several outside looking in, but we'll save that for much, much later. Let's take a look a little bit back, not too much, about 7 days ago when we talked about a couple of key games. It really, really has to happen. I'm not looking at you right now, Nick, but you know I'm talking to you because you really, really like your 49ers. I really did make an attempt to give you an out, but you just doubled and then eventually tripled down.
All in. Yeah, I didn't see that game going the way it did. I don't think anybody did, but it happens. Better team won that Sunday.
Pepperidge Farm knew.
Okay.
But there was really two things that you had to look at this game. And if I watched it again a second time, the 49ers defensively looked timid. They didn't even put a pass rush on. But if you watch the one scramble by Lamar where he gave a juke to Warner, who I think is one of the best linebackers in the NFL,
Yes.
there was no hustle, no movement. Guys are barely walking, not running, to try to catch Lamar. I don't know if they were timid.
No, they were running. Lamar's that much faster.
Yeah, because Warner missed that tackle. He took off for another 30
The
yards,
49ers look a step slow on every on
Look at the
offensive
both of
move.
you right now. Both of you are defending the Niners. You're over here talking for the last 30 years about defense winning championships.
Yeah.
Baltimore does just that.
Well, you brought
And
up
you're not here talking about the Ravens.
I'm going to tell you. We talked about it last week. Where Purdy successful is on that when he rolls to the right and he'll have that deep slant crossing pattern to Debo. Did you see they put a monster back there? Yeah. He could not complete that pass, and it was a different outcome the whole game. They keyed on that play and on Debo coming across and Ayuk, and I'm telling you, it paid dividends because if you shut McCaffrey down and then you shut the passing game down like any NFL team, you're not going to win.
I said this was possibly going to be a preview of this year's Super Bowl matchup, and then I went ahead and said, I guess based off of Nick's prediction, this was going to be a very ugly one. Well, it definitely is going to be if it ends up this way again. So I'll just lay this one out for now, and then we'll go ahead and pour into week number 17. Make the line right now. Super Bowl, neutral field, San Francisco, and Baltimore. Randy first.
You know what? I would have it as a 3-point favorite. 2.5, 3, but I would still have the Niners as the favorite.
Nick?
I would go probably 5.5 Niners, minus 5.5.
You guys, I love you guys so much.
I'm hoping a glass half full kind of mindset on this one, and I'm hoping that this was kind of a wake up call for the Niners and shoring up some things, and we'll see how they bounce back this week. But if they play that game again, I don't think it's going to be the same outcome. So.
The Niners management wishes to let you know that hope is not a business plan.
I know.
What is that? The Dallas Cowboys or San Francisco?
Well, speaking of fans,
I will just have to say though, it kind of got lost in the shuffle. But Brock Purdy did pass 4,000 yards last week. So, and to celebrate, I guess he threw 4 interceptions.
But the only thing that matters are W's.
Oh,
and rings.
And rings.
And to that point, I'm going to say back in November of 1984, Joe Montana threw 4 interceptions in a game in the same year he won the Super Bowl. So hope is my business plan.
There's a lot of this rubbing off on you with how many years back do you have to go for that stat?
He wasn't even born yet.
I was born September 84. I think I was like 2 months old.
I don't want to hear any of these stats from legacy edition NFL, which resembles nothing like the game that we played today.
I took a horse and buggy uphill both ways to school.
Speaking of a horse and buggy, it is related. So I live down south, like pretty far south, and I'm trying to pull out of the driveway, and just had 2 wild Mustangs just blocking my way out, and just said, "Yeah, go ahead and stay right there. You'll leave when we tell you to leave." Made me remind myself, you know what? We don't own this land.
That's right.
That's a wonderful
right.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay, that had literally nothing to do with it, but you said horse and buggy, so it just
Hey,
reminded me.
could we talk about my bitch first?
No.
I have a bitch this week.
I said no.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it.
Go, tell me. It's a
Well,
shorter show, but that's why I want to hear this.
Here's my problem. And I know we've had this discussion. I'm going to college again now. The college bowl scenario. All of these games, including a Minnesota Gopher team at 5-7, getting in a bowl game. This transfer portal has gone ridiculous. You got Florida State with 21 players not playing in a bowl game. Now, growing up, you lived for the regular season to try to get to a bowl game. Now it's all about the money.
That's right.
Where has college sports gone that during bowl season, where people like on their vacation days or holidays to sit back and watch a game, now you're watching teams that, to begin with, were 6-6, 5-7,
right,
and they have 6 players.
This is the capitalist way.
And eliminate half of the bowl games. And I just think the NCAA, either they make changes to this transfer portal, which you've heard me complain all year about, or reduce the number of bowl games, because you're not doing the fans any justice. They're going to go buy a ticket to watch this. And at the same time, let's face it, the TV advertisers, why do it? Because people aren't going to watch it.
A is not going to happen, and B is definitely not going to happen. We have almost barely scratched the surface, Randy, on what is still yet to become. We talked about this last year before we even had a wonderful studio and a YouTube show. That this is just literally the dawn of what we're about. I don't even think we're at the dawn. I think we're at like 12:15 in the morning as to what's still to come. We're only going to get more playoff games that actually count towards a championship, so which means more bowls.
Well, as of today, 1,969 players have entered the transfer portal. That's a tragedy to college sports when college athletes were there first to get a degree. And now you got quarterbacks that haven't even played it down that were recruited getting $1 million plus. Please help me, Lord. You base your performance on what you've done, not what you expect to be done. I don't understand.
I'm missing, and I'll ask our amazing producer, Christopher, next time for my advice 5 cents sign, which I'm going to put up pretty much every episode for you. But again, this is just the beginning. Joe Milton, University of Tennessee quarterback, he just up and just posted on Instagram. Yep, peace out. I'm done. And, it's been a lot of fun. And now they have a true freshman that's going to start in a bowl game, I think, in a couple of days. So it's everywhere. Everywhere. It's going to continue to happen. And it's just going to be exactly what you see it is. It is minor league football with real free agency.
Well, you look at 2 of the games this week, and I'll even look at Tulane with the number of kids they had out. That was a high school team playing a college team. That's not right for college sports, and it's definitely not right for the 41 or 42 bowls it's all about the excitement. And let's not forget, you still talk money. Us wanting to buy a spot in one of those games, who's going to want to do it?
No, you're not doing it.
And I think you just hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, right now we're still in kind of, like Rob said, the infancy or the early morning hours of this whole thing. And as this continues to plays out and as this become more and more trend, I would assume you're going to start seeing viewership drop on these bowl games. I mean, who wants to watch the backups play the backups?
Or not even the viewership. Why watch the regular season? Yeah. And then you got...
and then back to Rob's other statement, that's the capitalist way. Well, then that's the capitalist way. And there's that NIL money might not be what it is today. So
tragedy. It's a tragedy.
It's going to take a few years to really
And then
all
I see
wash
the guy
out,
this week from one of the SEC schools. He's not a graduate senior. He's a junior, and he's transferred 4 times. That's not what this was designed to do. NCAA, I'm telling you right now, do your job and govern what you're supposed to be doing, collegiate football and collegiate sports. Because right now, you can set a procedure and you just let it go. And they're running amok. They're ruining the programs. More players now are getting a little touch of the green. They're doing betting scams. They're getting into illegal bookmaking. Do the right thing and put some order and justice and some guidelines to this portal. It might be great. It is great for basketball because you're talking about a fewer number of players and there's more equality based on all the collegiate teams. Football is gone amok and the rich get richer. I'm asking you to change it. Look at what you're doing. Set some guidelines. You can only transfer once. I don't care if you're a graduate senior unless your coach quits or gets fired. The other thing is do not let them transfer within the conference. I'm really, that's my number one.
I've heard this bitch twice before during this season, and now this is a third.
Well,
$5 fine. $5.
I'm adamant about it.
Chris, where's the bucket? Give me $5. I'm fining you.
Can you pull up the mailing address for the NCAA so we can send them?
I'm fining him. Everyone remember, you're watting this. I'm fining him $5.
Okay, go to NFL. That was my bid.
3 games that I'd like to discuss for our listeners. We're going to go talk about Saturday's game, the Lions at the Cowboys. Of course, all these games with pretty significant playoff implications. The Bengals at the Chiefs. We got some problems on both sides of the ball there in terms of injuries. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with Miami Dolphins at the Baltimore Ravens in time. But let's go ahead and take a look at the first game. Gentlemen, the Detroit Lions, we opened them up as 5.5-point dogs at Dallas, a total 53. That number is still pretty steady. Detroit right now coming off of their win in Minnesota. Dallas is obviously where they're at. Did get to double-digit wins. Now a question of playoff seeding. So, Nick, let's go ahead and start off with you. We've got them at 5.5. Detroit's wrapped up their division. So nothing to play for except, I'm not quite sure, maybe pride, but how do you see this go?
Well, my gut says it's going to come down to a one-possession game, and I think that 5.5 is a little too much. I think it really probably should be 3.5, and I definitely, the fact that it's on a Saturday, they're playing in Dallas, but I think it's going to go under. So I'm taking Lions and under on this one.
Lions and under there. Randy?
I have the Lions covering. I have it 34-31, so the opposite. I have the over. I think both teams will score again. The Cowboys, again, if you look at their recent past history, they have a bad game and they usually come right back. I think that, again, you look at the Cowboys home and away, and I think this really bides well for them. And again, I'm not saying it's a must-win because they're in the playoffs, but it's a must-win to win that division. So
yep.
I think the Cowboys will prevail, but I think it's too many.
Dallas at home 7-0 straight up, 6-1 against the spread, averaging just a tick under 40 points a game at home. I want to see how much of that actually went with that Giants game over back in September. But they're only giving up 15.4 points a game. However, they have lost their last 2, including losing 2 of those games against the spread. 3 of their last games in a row have gone under the total. The Detroit Lions are 6-2 straight up away, and 6-2 against the spread, coincidentally. But they're pretty much just treading water, averaging about 25 points a game, giving up about 25 points a game. They've won their last 2. They've covered their last 2, and both games have gone over. So something has to give here. I have a feeling that Detroit may have said, you know what, we've accomplished what we want.
Very good point.
And so that's actually why the number's kind of wavering. It's not going to get to that 6, but I don't think it's going to get to that 3.5 either. So it's right there nestled pretty neatly. So, gentlemen, good breakdown of that game coming up. Next is a game where we actually didn't think that we were going to see these records, at least. The Cincinnati Bengals at 8-7 now. Obviously, much of that has to do in this quarterback-driven league with no starter there for Cincinnati. Pretty much all year. Burrow got injured in preseason. Really wasn't the same quarterback at all in his regular season play that he was there. Browning, good. Serviceable, not great, clearly. But now we've got the Kansas City Chiefs as only, I'll go ahead and put a question mark around that word, a 7-point favorite with the total anywhere between 43.5, 44.5 at the book at Baldini's. Gentlemen, break this one down. Randy first.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a game. There's obviously something going on in the Chiefs locker room.
Big time.
If you've noticed Mahomes these last 3 weeks in particular, I know they have not advised us of any injuries, but if you notice when he's going to the sideline, he favors that right side, his right hip. It's like he'll turn. He doesn't want that right hip to get hurt. He's definitely not at 100%. Mm-hmm. And I think there's some trouble in the locker room. This is a game where the Chiefs has to make a statement. This game, I have 31-10. And again, the receivers being, dropping 34 balls, obviously is one thing. They should probably try to keep Tyreek Hill, but that's another story. Outcome of this being at Arrowhead and the fact they've got to show that they are championship mode, I think they blow them out.
31-10 definitely sounds like a blowout of alternate line fervor coming out of Randy's vocal cords. Nick, any difference here?
I would agree with what Randy said, that this is kind of a must-win for the Chiefs to show it, but I just don't know if I see that happening after last week and the last few weeks, and just looking, kind of looking in their eyes, and that drive and that fire just isn't there anymore from Mahomes or from Kelsey, and so I mean, putting up 7 points, I think the Bengals got a shot to cover that. So I like taking the Bengals. That total of 44.5, I think it's probably going to come right down close to the wire on that. So I'd stay away from the total, but if I had to bet it, I'd go over. Nobody likes betting on an under. So.
And what better last week? I don't know if you guys noticed, but Christmas, I'm over at my kid's house, and they have the game on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
So you had all the animated characters, snow machines, the slime.
Yep.
What better right now to have it with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are slime right now?
It's always for the kids. Always remember that. It's always for the kids.
Just to go kind of veer off and kind of go down a conspiracy road here on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I saw a picture from, I believe it was 2 years ago, of Taylor Swift decked out in Philadelphia Eagles gear. And that got me thinking, what happened last year in the Super Bowl? Yeah, the Chiefs and the Eagles, we all know. So I think maybe Swift hatched a plan to date Kelsey and just drive a wedge into that team just to get payback for beating her team in the Super Bowl. But that's just one man's opinion.
Boy, that's a different look. That's a different look.
Listen, we bet real United States dollars on these games. I just want you to know that.
Well, do you think, and I'm just going to ask a simple question, do you think that Andy Reid, Mahomes, and Kelsey have done too many commercials this year? There might not be on football.
If it sways your opinion on whether or not you're going to bet on or against them, then yes, I care.
I think there's, again, as there was in college, we're giving these guys way too much money. Perform and we talk.
Another $5 fine. You're up to $10. Christopher, I need that bucket. Kansas City have lost their last 4 in a row against the spread. They've lost their last game. Obviously, they lost their last game. So is Cincinnati. However, the big difference here is in the home play of Kansas City, only giving up just a tick under 17 points a game. It really hasn't just been Kansas City's offensive year. We've never really seen them pop off of that big number. Nope. And it's just been that way all year. They typically settle somewhere around, honestly, 21 to 24 points, maybe 27. Nick made a good point. I think Cincinnati is, at the very least, live. Do we see them getting shut out? No. Do we see them getting less than 10 points? Probably not. No. Go ahead and just take a look and see. I'm just happy that I got the both of you to split your decision here.
Well,
that's the only thing I care
And I believe
about.
Cincinnati defense is still banged up.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're
I
banged
think
up all over
that's another
the place. I mean,
telling tale. I'm actually shocked it's only 7.
I just think right now the Chiefs are beating themselves. There's something going on. Not sure what it is, but They do not look like the same team, even at the beginning of the year.
I've been out laying out some of the last 5 games. You've noticed Mahomes is averaging 5 to 7 passes that he's throwing at their feet. He's short. When you're short on a pass, especially on a short pass route, you're hurting. There's an ailment that's bothering you where you're not stepping and not getting a clean throw. And he's had 5 to 7 the last 4 to 5 ball games. So there's some injury there, and you've seen it when he goes to the sideline. He favors that right hip. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I'm betting he's not 100%.
Let's get that on the record. Randy is not a doctor.
Okay. Good, thank you. Okay, excellent. Our game of the week, at least the Book of Baldini's game of the week, the Miami Dolphins at the Baltimore Ravens. This one is early Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific. Made the Ravens a 3-point favorite, the total 47. It hasn't budged one single inch. I wonder why. Nick, start us off.
Kind of back to what I said last week. The trend is your friend, and I think the Ravens are on a roll right now. I think they cover this 3 points fairly easily. So I like Ravens in going under on that total.
Okay. Randy?
I like the Ravens here. I think what you've seen them do against the Niners, as I mentioned earlier, they put that monster man back there to basically stop what the 49ers are strong at. I think you're going to see a lot of double teams, obviously, on Tyreek. But the one thing the Ravens do very well is their blitz package. And I don't know that Miami's line can hold up to that blitz package.
In talking about caliber of teams that you play against, I mean, what are some of the top-end, top-notch, upper echelon teams that Miami's beat this year?
Well, they got one. They do have a win now, obviously, over a team better with a 500 record being the Cowboys.
I was going to see if anyone was going to mention it. I'm giving you an opportunity to tread lightly at least, because you guys jumped all over Miami like they were literally, being run by, I don't know, Fitzpatrick again. Like it was the good old days of Miami getting blown out.
Fitzmagic, thank you.
And both of you guys are pretty much, wrapping this thing up in about 60 seconds. This is a open and shut case.
Warm weather to cold weather this week. How will the Dolphins react to a fantastic defense? And you talk about a hostile crowd. You're going to see it this week.
The Baltimore Ravens, winners of 5 straight, including 2 covers against the spread. Miami, of course, they've won their last 2. They've covered both as well. 4-2 are the Miami Dolphins on the road. Same record against the spread. Baltimore Ravens are 5-2 at home with 4-3 against the spread. So with a spread of 3, I made it pretty tight. And looks like I'm not going to get any budging here at all. Not even. All right, let's just play a little game. I'll make it 3.5. Do I get any Dolphins money?
You would have to go to 6.5 for me to go Dolphins.
I'm not budging with that. Not with Baltimore at home.
What a perfect little dovetail to where the bookie went wrong. I don't know if this was part of your list, but are you saying that the bookie went wrong here on this Baltimore Ravens line, Nick?
No, I just don't see how. Again, I try to play everything out. Hey, They played each other 100 times, and Lamar. I mean, the stats don't show what he's capable of doing clearly, but it's not. It's not that initial play they call. It's when he scrambles around for 5 seconds, they can't get him down. And how long can you cover receivers for? At some point, there's going to be a breakdown in coverage, and he's able to find the open man. And I just don't see Miami's defense being able to stop that. So.
Now, here's another little thought process for you guys. 2 weeks ago, the favorites covered. Bigger share of the games. Last week, the dogs covered. This week is traditional home teams. As you get to week 17 and 18, home teams usually prevail.
Wait.
This is fresh off the Wyke 3000.
Hold on. Right. Wait. I think I got something here. He's not talking about it. He's not setting it up. So home teams 2 weeks ago, road teams last week. So this week it's home teams. So zig.
I'm sorry. Favorites 2 weeks ago.
Got it.
Dogs last week.
Yes. So
home
favorites
teams,
this week.
Yeah. Home teams this week. Not necessarily favorites.
Right.
Home teams covered.
Parlay.
Yeah.
I love you. You
You heard it here first.
I know I heard it here first. I love you.
But not really specifically to this week, but where the bookie went wrong. I asked you, what's the line on Lamar to win the MVP? And in kind of part of a bigger discussion, what is the criteria that we use or whoever uses to award the MVP? Because again, I'm not taking anything away from Lamar, amazing player, but when you look at his stats this year, he doesn't even have 20 touchdown passes. How is he number one in the MVP race? What stat do we look at? What's the defining metric?
I see what you're doing here. Let's sit on that. That's actually good.
Okay.
So Lamar Jackson is the favorite. I told you that this was going to be the MVP game. This was going to be the winner of this game, and even deeper, depending on the result, this was going to be the MVP game. Lamar Jackson handled everything his way.
100%.
They won convincingly. Yep. Actually, they went reverse of your alternate line.
Yep.
And Purdy did exactly what he needed to do to knock himself not into second place in the race, but behind Christian McCaffrey, who's 4-1 to win MVP right now. So what's the criteria? It's pie in the sky, whatever the writers vote in their head. You think that's a wrong decision? You think the bookie's making Lamar Jackson the favorite incorrectly?
No, I'm just asking. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm trying to figure out how do you come up with that line?
You have to. The key thing here, I think there's only been one player that won MVP without the team winning their division or the conference championship. You've got to be able to say that this person led your team to a winning record. Number one.
Clearly.
I don't care what they say. They're not going to give an MVP trophy to a team that's 4-13. So, number one is he made the difference to say where Baltimore is right now at 11-4. Has he made the difference in them getting that record?
100%. Okay.
Yep,
when you look at Purdy and McCaffrey, have they been the difference for their teams getting?
Could you have put a sock puppet behind center in San Francisco, and the results would be the same?
No, I don't believe that.
You said yes.
I said yes. No, I said no.
You whispered. I heard. Yep.
No. We can throw the challenge flag.
I'm throwing the flag.
What did you say?
I said no. Again, you still have to have the talent, and let's be honest. Purdy's playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
And McCaffrey, I think, is the best running back.
Who's your MVP right now? After 16 weeks.
I still have Purdy in there.
Who's your? You know what? I forget it. I'm not even going to get into this. Fine.
I could have had Dak, but Dak's been on a losing.
I would say after last game, McCaffrey would be my MVP for this year.
You just love the Niners.
Well, no, again, I'm still.
McCaffrey's having the greatest running back season.
I'll be
in
honest.
years.
Up until this year, I have cared less about the MVP than I who cares? I want the Super Bowl or nothing. But now that my guys are kind of in it, I'm a little more interested in it.
I do want to backpedal because my belief, Tyreek Hill right now is the MVP. I don't care in both leagues, but he missed some games,
right.
And
if
that's going to
miss.
Yeah.
Well, he did miss 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's going to shatter Jerry Rice's records this year. Shatter him. He's the best. He's the best thing on turf.
There's still a good shot he hits 2,000 yards, which is just completely bonkers ridiculous.
Yeah. And to Randy's point, Purdy's got over 4,000 yards passing. He's going to have most likely he's going to have over 30 touchdowns for the year. And even after last week, he still has the highest QBR in the history of football at 113. Well, I think number 2 is Mahomes at 103.9.
Right.
It's
the 49ers might shut the Commanders out. Chase Young is going to have a big day against his old team.
Yeah, he's going to know some.
Purdy bounces back this week on the road.
For the record, the Niners, we opened them up 13.5. Got bet down. Obviously, that key number was a little bit too much for the Sharps to pass on, so it's now 12.5. The total's 49.5. I got to wonder. I don't know if Washington gets to 10 points there. Actually, it's probably just going to be field goals unless San Francisco really gets hungry and shuts them out.
I don't think they can score. And I do believe they'll be fairly back at 100% on the defensive front. So the 49ers have been banged up 3 of the last 4 weeks. So, again.
They got some key players on the injury report, but we'll see how.
And again, I say Purdy bounces back after a poor performance, although I have to give the Ravens credit because I watched that game a second time, and they scouted the 49ers very well. Harbaugh did a great job, but I think they bounced back this week, too. You might want to take a couple of these big spreads this week because I think the Cardinals are in for a long night with Jalen as well. Because there's a little Philadelphia and New York, and, of course, you would know, Rob, being from back east, the media tears you apart there. So I really believe you might want to take some of these big spreads. And another one is watch out for Josh Allen and the Bills because I think they're peaking at the right time.
I'm going to take that as where the bookie went wrong. I clearly have not made the large favorites big enough. I also have not what was it? Home team. The home teams. I was wrong on the home teams, right? That's the other trend. Trend is the friend there. Going back to last episode. So lots to chew on, friends at home. If you enjoy our show, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're here every single week. This was
defense wins championships too. I just want to say that defense wins championships. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When we return next year in 2024, we're going to have a fine bucket in the center of this table, plus some other fun things as we'll turn our chapter to a new book. It'll be a new season. Very much looking forward to it. I'm very grateful for everything that's been given to me and to us at Baldini's. And I guess, like I said at the very top of our show, this is the grateful episode. So I could go ahead and say, I mean, everyone kind of knows how much I love my music. So I'm grateful this year for Sleep Token, an artist that I know Randy has definitely heard many times.
Is that like
Sleep
the
Token
test you get, sleep apnea, or what?
Has come out with quite possibly, well, first off, the greatest album of the year by far. It's the best release I've ever had in many years. And there's a couple of outsides looking in, but Sleep Token's album this year, 2023, is what I am most grateful for. In addition to everything, including my hearing, because without my hearing, how could I even have this show?
Movie, Sleep Token.
Well, hell, every day is Halloween to me.
Is it like a guy or a group or a...
Sleep Token is a group, supposedly out of the UK.
Heavy metal?
Well, what else? Well, actually, you know what? I refuse to put him in any kind of genre. You just have to listen for yourself. Go ahead and put it on today. On your 8-track.
I'm 64. Don't have a clue who he's talking about.
Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token. Thank you, guys.
Sorry I missed that one.
Randy, what are you most grateful for in 2023?
It's funny you brought this up because you said that earlier. I just did this week for my family. 44 years I've been married to the same woman, and she takes care of me more than I take care of myself. And I've had 3 kids that have grown up to have their own businesses, do their own thing. Now I got a sheriff's deputy, a CFO of the firehouse. My daughter owns her own business. But to have 7 grandkids, I am really thinking, around the holidays, there is nothing better than grandkids. And I always tell this story. I'm one of those people that if you could have given me a pill or a drug and you could go right to the grandkids and not had children, I'd be a poster child. But I am very thankful because my kids, I think, grew up the right way, and now their kids make me laugh, make me cry, but they make me laugh too.
We're going to have to obviously stamp a parental advisory on this episode now that you're mentioning the ingestion of illegal substances. Nick, take us home. Your most grateful thing in 2023.
I got 2 things, really. And obviously, I think everybody, the past 3 years has been really challenging. And I got to say, I've been grateful for my wife and my son. Just kind of being there and having a family and a house to come home to. And after challenging days, there's just nothing better than kind of leaving everything at the door and just focusing on what truly matters. Because if you don't have that, there's no point in anything else, right? And secondly, I'm grateful for football, because without football, I mean, I don't know what we would do. But I feel lost when we don't have NFL on the TV, and these 18 weeks is just, and now we're in playoff season. good to go.
Well, and that's our season, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Hope you gathered some great information into this weekend for this year. Looking forward to seeing you all on our very next episode and our final hurrah for 2023. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, I'm Robert Kowalski. For Randy Wyke and Nick Schulte, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.